I have had a very busy stretch in my schedule lately. I just recently finished a chunk of time where there were 17 days of stuff with only one day off in the middle of all that, which is not enough for me. It was very challenging. I have made it through, thankfully, but on that evening of the 16th day of all of that, I was feeling very, very overwhelmed and burnt out, and it was emotionally too much to face the next day. I was having a very hard time. However, I was able to take a step back and cognitively reframe my situation. And that is the theme of today's video, is cognitive reframing. So I planned out my day, all of the things that I had to get done. I knew that I probably wouldn't have free time in there, but I just made a list of everything that I had to do. And in addition to just writing the things that I had to do, I added a little reasoning to each one of them, either something that tied in with a value that I have or something that would improve who I am as a person, character building things, just different ways of looking at the situation, which is what cognitive reframing is. And the biggest thing for me in that day was grocery shopping. It seemed very overwhelming. For me, grocery shopping is a little bit more involved than most people, I would say, because I don't have a vehicle and I live a half hour's walk from the grocery store. And normally I'm fine with that. I don't mind the routine weekly going to do my groceries, but that day it just seemed so overwhelming. But I was able to reframe that situation as, okay, half an hour before the grocery shop is essentially free time because I'm out for a walk, I'm getting exercise, getting fresh air, and I get to listen to an audiobook or a podcast or just think and have time to myself. And that time is kind of protected from the rest of the day. No one needs me during that time. There's no other to-do list things. It's essentially free time. And I have that little bit of free time before the grocery shop, a little bit of free time after the grocery shop, and reframing things in that way was very, very helpful. And even groceries, reframing that as self-care. I get to buy food to sustain me, to invest in my health. I can afford food, which is amazing. That's a huge blessing. And there were other things on my list that day that I was able to reframe as well. There was small group, which I enjoy going to. I enjoy the people there, but after a span of a very busy schedule, when I'm already burnt out and overwhelmed and am an introvert who likes solitude and evenings off, sometimes social things just seem daunting. And again, that is a half-hour walk from my house, so I had that half-hour chunk of time on either side that I was able to view as free time, as self-care, as me time in the middle of a busy day. And there were other obligations that I was able to get done, but just being able to think of little pockets of time that are meaningful to me in other ways was very, very helpful. And it actually resulted in time affluence. So time affluence is basically the feeling that you have enough time in your day, which is the opposite of time poverty or time famine, which is crazy that we have these terms that we've had to come up with for the way we live our crazy, busy lives. And just having those little bits of time felt like I had free time, even though it wasn't the traditional free time that I enjoy of just having, a blank chunk of time in my day and deciding what I can do, relax, whatever, free time, hobbies, whatever it is, that it actually felt like I had some free time in the day. It almost didn't even feel like a full day. It almost felt like a day off in a sense, which was unbelievable. It felt like I had more time than I actually did. Even though it was go, 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 I was able to reframe things so that it wasn't just go, 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 go. It was time affluence. So that was something that not only helped me through that day, but actually set the tone for the entire week. I was supposed to have 2 full days off after this busy stretch this week, and that did not end up happening. There was other work that came up, which I'm thankful for income-wise right now, but I didn't have those 2 days off, and normally that would be something that would probably derail me. Like, those 2 days were on my calendar weeks ahead, knowing that, okay, if I can just make it through this busy stretch, then I have these 2 days, I can take my weekend and just feel rejuvenated and refreshed and disconnected. And yeah, that didn't happen. That didn't unfold the way I wanted it to. I certainly had a lot of time in those days, but there were other obligations and things that came up, and I was able to cope with that throughout the week. I was able to finish the week strong. Today's Friday. I am knocking out a whole bunch of things on my to-do list so that I can finish things before work tonight. And then I get my first Saturday off of the year tomorrow, which I'm very excited for. So getting all the things done today so that I can enjoy free time tomorrow is something that was possible because I was able to kind of reclaim my mental state this week. So that was really helpful for me. And the thing that I like about cognitive reframing is that it's more of an objective process. It's not just, look at the bright side of things and, smile when you're not feeling like smiling and then your whole day will be happy and bright and, life will be good. Like, it's not just taking it down circumstances and trying to make the most of it. It's more of an objective approach, especially if you're able to do it beforehand. That Sunday evening when I was going through that list of the things to do the next day, I was just far enough removed from that day that I could reframe things ahead of time, which is very beneficial. If you're already in the overwhelm and you're feeling down, life is hard, you're struggling to cope, then it's a lot harder to reframe things. And it's not as simple, again, as just wishing your way out of things, thinking positively, and everything will be fine. But a more objective approach, especially if you can do it in advance, that's very beneficial. And the great thing about cognitive reframing is that it is essentially a skill that you can learn. Anything to do with how you think, your defaults, those can be changed. Neuroplasticity is this amazing thing that we have that allows our brains to adapt and change and learn and grow, and we can rewrite our defaults. For me, the concussion journey that I've been on, there were many, many years of extremely difficult circumstances, and a lot of that was a battle with my mental health, and it was just negative for 10 years. And I was able to slowly retrain my brain to override those ingrained thinking patterns, to think of things in a more positive light. And once I was able to kind of get out of that downward spiral onto an upward one, and now I'm doing a lot better, I can not only just think about, gratitude and other things, but have control of my mind enough and am in a good enough mental state that I can continue to build on that with cognitive reframing, which is something that I have been getting better at recently. It is something that you can just learn to do. It takes a lot of time, especially if you have a lot of things to work through and override. Those habits and ingrained thinking patterns don't just disappear. It's a long journey, but you can reframe all of that. You can improve, and that can become more of a default way of thinking. So my default approach to things now is so much better than it used to be. And so that is something that really, really helped me this week, not only, again, on that day that I was struggling, but in the entire week, and is something that I'm continuing to work on, my mental game. So I thought I would share that as part of documenting my own personal self-improvement journey, and ideally something that maybe was helpful to you. So something to think about. Thank you very much for being here, and I will see you in the next one.